What up, YouTube? We back with another video, man. We over here at the crib again. We got an Audi S6 right here next to us. We're actually gonna be removing the downpipes and putting on the stock catalytic converter. So y'all stay tuned, man. You ain't gonna want to miss this. Dang, this thing looking clean. Look at the fucking wheels. But yeah, we got an Audi S6 in here. Just gonna dive into this thing. We gotta get the downpipes off and put the cats back in. We did the downpipes probably like 2 or 3 years ago. Boy, sounds bad. I'm gonna actually fire it up for you guys so you can hear what it sounds like before we put it back to stock. It's a big difference for sure. I remember when I did the downpipes on this thing. We'll go ahead and fire the car up just so you guys can hear how it sounds with these downpipes on here. I'm not sure the brand. Oh, there you go. ARM is the brand of downpipe. So we're gonna get those pulled off, get them stock catalytic converters installed. This thing has got the red guts. Ooh, it's looking clean. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and fire this thing up for you guys real quick so you can just hear what it sounds like before we put it back to stock. We're replacing the air box too. We got some parts in the trunk. So we got the stock air box and take off the carbon fiber one, and then these are the cats that we got to swap out. He said some exhaust shop cut off this flange right here, but that's just one of the brackets that bolt up to the side of the transmission. He wants to leave the rest of the exhaust. He's just dealing with a lot of check engine lights ever since he put the downpipe on, so he's just trying to switch everything back and either get rid of it or just keep it a stock little commuter, because man, these things is not cheap to mod, I'll tell you that. Even to maintenance these things, take a look at how much the motor mounts are after this video though. All right, so we're gonna remove the engine cover, and then we're gonna remove this top cover here. It's just 2 clips, and then the piece of the plastic goes into the core support here. So we'll remove that stuff. You got 2 bolts here, and then you got 1 8mm on this side, and then you can take the hose clamps off here. You just got to be careful. These things do tear pretty easy, and it's hard to see unless you stretch it out. They get real brittle with the heat, so be very gentle with those, removing them. Sometimes they get stuck to the material. Once we remove everything from this area, then we're gonna remove this top plastic trim. There's a few clips, and we gotta remove this weather stripping that goes across. So we'll remove all that stuff and expose the exhaust as much as possible. That way I can show you guys the next step. So let's get to work. Got 1 bolt there, and then right under this plastic piece, you can access the 2nd bolt down and just get a little short extension, get it in there, get those 2 pulled out, get this 8 out, get this box off. Look at when you remove the box, how much room it exposes on the engine. Every time I do spark plugs on this thing, I gotta remove them. But you see, I took the clamps loose here, and then what I did is I just got a little plastic clip removal tool so it won't scrape up anything, and I just kind of broke the seal on both sides. That way these can stay in position because they'll fit right up to the stock box, but didn't want to chance any of them ripping up. It looks like that one's a little starting to deteriorate or something right there. So I'm sure if it got pulled on a little bit, it would break through. So be very cautious. This isn't part of the process of removing the downpipes or anything like that. I'm just putting this car back to stock. So this is why I'm doing this step. Now I'm going to jump over to the cow. Let's get it. All right, so we got to remove the aluminum bar. We got 1 bolt back there, got a bolt on this side, and then we got like a vacuum line. There's a few things you got to take off. You got to remove that Torx 27, or maybe it's a 25, and I believe there's just a couple more small ones to get that heat shield out the way so you can remove that whole aluminum piece, and that'll free up a lot of room back here on this side. So once I get it off, I'll kind of walk you guys through everything that connects to it, so it's a little easier for the process. One other thing I do recommend on these, before you start doing the work, pre-soak the bolts. I'm gonna go get some rust penetrator and soak all the studs. That way, while I'm working on it, that sets in on the screws and it makes it a lot easier. We don't break any studs. Just try to make the job go as simple and smooth as possible. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 back there out. This is actually a T25, so I'll just use a little wobble and get that little bolt removed. We got to get this heat shield out the way. So you got 1, 2, 3. If you get like a pick tool or maybe like a little small flathead, you could just loosen those off. Once you get those 2 bolts out, in this case, it was only just the one that goes there. You can go ahead and lift this piece out. So we got this piece out of our way. Now we want to get the heat shield removed and get this clamp removed so we can get this other plastic trim disconnected. You can see a few places it disconnects, but this whole center section removes. There's a little junction box up here that needs to be taken off of it and a few other things. So let's get that knocked out really quick so we can have full access to this exhaust. All right, so now that we got the heat shield loose, you can see there's 110 that holds this plate on. And then we're gonna disconnect the battery because we need to take off this junction box here. And the only way to remove the junction box is by taking that 10mm off, and you can see it's covered by this power wire. So we're gonna quick disconnect the battery and lodge the trunk open. And then from there, we're gonna go ahead and remove this wire. And then we'll remove that 110mm right there, and we should be able to pull that whole center section up. I pulled this piece out of here for the brake booster, and then the back side just pops out. It's plastic, it's probably a little brittle, so just be careful. But yeah, we got the tin here, we got a tin there, a tin there, and there was a clip here that went down on this stud, and then there was one more on this side that we had to pop out. All right, now you can see with the plate out of the way how it opens up so much room to be able to access everything. And these are the bolts that we need to take off. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 down on the bottom. Same on each side. I went ahead and soaked all the bolts while I've been working on it. That way they don't have any rust or any debris or anything like that to stop them from coming off or breaking a stud, because that's when it becomes a problem. Taking these turbos off are not easy. It looks like down on the bottom there, we've got 3-bolt flange down there where it connects to the rest of the exhaust. So we'll have to get those off on each side. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and crack these upper bolts loose. And when these do come out, they come out through the top. So just keep that in mind. All right, looks like they're 13mm. So let's go ahead, get our gun and start getting these off. All right, so we got all the nuts removed off of the studs for the downpipes. All the O2 sensors were removed as well, and they are out of our way. You can see the pipes are pretty much just sitting here free and loose. They have the flex portion there, so they do move around a bit, as long as they're not like a solid piece. So now what we'll do, jack up the car on both sides, get some jack stands under this thing, and then we'll take off the bolts on the flanges down below. Got the car in the air on jack stands. That way we can roll under this thing. Doesn't look like any plastic pieces are in the way of getting to the bolts, but the bolts that we need to access are on this flange here. Could barely see them, but we'll get the nuts and bolts off of both sides, get those pulled off, and we'll get the factory exhaust put back on. I got the bolts out of the passenger side already. You can see it's loose down here on my back, so it's a little hard, but you can see I got those 3 bolts out in the gasket. I just got one more bolt on this side. This one's a little tricky because it's like right off to the side right there. So if you have like a 1/4 inch 13, that would probably be your best bet. All right, so we got the last bolt out, so now the lower exhaust is loose. So let's go back up top and we'll pull the downpipes out. All right, we got LJ in the engine bay, making sure he's not stepping on nothing. He's sitting on the strut tower, and we got this little padding right here, so You want to help me pull this out real quick, LJ? Look, grab this pipe right here. See this one? Grab it. Pick it up. Ooh. Grab it with both hands. Grab it. Oh, we're gonna pull it out. All right, we got one of them out. Shouts out to LJ. All right, let's go ahead. You ready, LJ? Grab that side with both hands. Come on, use your other hand. Pick it up. Oh, good job, buddy. I got it. Thank you for helping me. All right, so I lowered the car back down just so it's a little easier. These cats cross over each other. So one side runs to one side, the other runs to the other. So you kind of have to put this side in first and then push it over where the flange is in here. It's more in the middle. Then you got to fish this second one in, and then they'll kind of fall into place. So this one will bolt up here, and then this one will come over and bolt up like this. I had to put the camera down so I can see. It's raining again over here. It's crazy every time I start working. All right, so we got the exhaust up here bolted back together. We got the O2 sensors back in place where they're supposed to go. So now we'll start getting all the lower plastic trim and the heat shield installed. When you do put the heat shield in, I just recommend putting the plastic and that in together because it's kind of hard to try to fish the heat shield in after. Just keep the two pieces together and install them. So we'll go ahead, get that in now and get the top half of everything over here put back together. All right, so we got the heat shield back in place. It locked into the plastic on this side. We got power wire connected. We got all of our clips and our 10mm nuts attached on both sides. So we'll go ahead, keep plugging the rest of this stuff up, and then we'll move over to getting the top brace put back on, and then we'll get the top cover put on up there. So trucking along, almost there. All right, now that we got the heat shield and all the wires and everything attached up there, let's go ahead and throw this thing on. Brace is on, all the 5 bolts are in. We just have to put the Torx 20 there. We got the top cover put on. Just go ahead and wipe this thing down. It was already dusty. Whole car needs to be clean. We got the air box in. We just need to get the 2 bolts in on both sides and then tighten up those clamps there. But we got the air box back in the stock location. Pretty simple fit. Car's coming together fast. All right, front cover piece is back on. Let's get the car back up in the air. Got the car back down on the ground. Got the exhaust all bolted up. Car is ready to go. All back to stock.